Hi, everybody. It's Susan again, and it's been a while. I realize these videos are coming more and more seldom, and I'd really like to start uploading again weekly and even twice a week. I will do so when my life calms down. uh, it's been quite a Mercury retrograde, and I'm usually one of these people takes those things relatively in stride. I do pay attention, but I don't make such a big deal out of it. You'll never see a clickbaity Mercury retrograde title on one of my videos, although I must say I'm rethinking that after the last 3 weeks. I hope you have all been doing well because this one seems to have been affecting quite a lot of people in a really extraordinary way. As I speak, it's the day before the new moon. So the new moon in universal time is happening on the 15th of September. That means if you're in Europe or if you're in Asia, South Asia, Australia, New Zealand, that will be on the 15th. If you are in North or South America, all the way into the Pacific, then you're going to have this already on the 14th. And so I'm doing this on the 14th, but before the new moon. So a little bit late, but better late than never. And it does also represent a kind of a natal chart for the month ahead. So it's the lunar month beginning now at the new moon. The new moon is always a conjunction of the sun and the moon, and it starts a new cycle. So it's simultaneously the end of one cycle and the beginning of another one. I'm going to focus on the one coming ahead because I see this as kind of a birth chart for the moon cycle in Virgo. Of course, we get usually at least one new moon in every sign every year. In Virgo, this is your turn. It always comes during Virgo season. So the sun has to be in Virgo for the Virgo new moon. And as it happens, this Virgo new moon is happening in the same house, the same sign as its ruler. So Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. It's also exalted in Virgo, loves being in Virgo. Mercury is all about details and all about the understanding of facts and things that are important to run our everyday life. Now, Mercury is still retrograde at the time of this new moon, but the Mercury, the moon, and the sun are all in the sign of Virgo. And what's interesting about the degree points of this new moon, which is happening at 2158 of Virgo, so let's say 22 degrees, is that that was the point. 22 degrees is the point at which Mercury stationed retrograde. These things, when they line up like that, are always very interesting because they create these really neat packages of time. That retrograde station would have been, depending on where you were on the planet, either the 23rd or the 24th of August. And so if you recall, go back to that period of time and have a sense of what has happened since then, what was going on since the 23rd or 24th of August for you. And this has been this process of review that Mercury has put us all through. In my case, for example, I'm a Cancer moon and rising, and that is in my third house. And so that has been a complete wipeout of my sense of my friends, my neighborhood, my space of living, the everyday activities. It's just been like a complete tornado. Basically, I decided to get rid of all of my things. I'm moving, I'm changing countries even. And we'll see in 2 weeks when the Pisces full moon comes up and we start to see what the results were of that. Actually, no, it'll be in the Aries full moon that we'll see the results of that because then by then the sun will be in Libra. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to get the kind of response, let's say, of the beginning of this process of this Virgo new moon. So you might want to look back wherever the Mercury retrograde was happening and where this new moon is happening in your chart. Look for Virgo in your chart. I'm not going to have time this time to do the sign by sign. I'm literally getting on a plane tomorrow morning. We're down to the wire here, lots going on. And I'm still seeing clients. So it's pretty exciting times. There were some appointments that I find difficult to reorganize, so it was easier just to do them because I work with people around the world in different time zones. And so it's not always convenient to switch the appointments around. And I prefer to try and leave them as they are rather than shifting things around. So for those of you I've seen this week, it's been fun. It's been wonderful to hear your well wishes, and I really, really appreciate that. Um, So we have this 22 degree or 2158 degree point that was already animated by Mercury, which about 20 hours after this new moon. So for everybody, that's going to be on the 15th. 20 hours later, Mercury will be stationing retrograde at 8 degrees. Rounded off, actually, that's quite neat as well, which Virgo would appreciate as well. So when things line up like that, there's a certain harmony and beauty and symmetry. And Virgo is very much about that, the purity, the simplicity, the beauty that is in things working out like that. Virgo is very good at, for example, numbers and the sort of significance of things like that, symbols and numbers. That's all what Virgo but most especially Mercury represents, which is one of the reasons why Mercury traditionally is the planet that rules astrology. And so now at 8 degrees, we have this Mercury. It will be moving back to the point that it retrograded, which is what we call the shadow point. So meaning that from the 23rd of August, Mercury moved back to the 8th degree. Up until today, 14th, 15th of September. But then after that, it takes a little while for it to get back to the point at which it retrograded. And so that again is the 22nd degree of Virgo. And that's going to happen on the 30th of September. So that whole process from today, 15th, I'm going to say today, from the new moon until the end of September is the Mercury shadow period. And so that post retrograde shadow is really showing us what we have already done. It allows us to kind of digest. There's a great Virgo word. Digestion is ruled by the Virgo. And that process of integration and digestion of everything that's come since the 23rd-ish of August is what we'll be doing for the rest of September. Then Mercury will go into Libra on the 5th of October, just a couple of days before Venus then moves into Virgo. Where Venus will then spend another month. So we'll talk about that later. I have lots and lots of things that I want to catch up with and describe, but I just want to focus on this new moon energy here because it's really, really nice. It's a brilliant new moon for new beginnings. It's not random that I chose this day also to travel and to move on. Even if Mercury is retrograde, I don't let that stop me. I definitely want to use the energy of the new moon over the next few days to re-establish something, to settle myself in a new way. And I invite you to do the same. And so you're going to feel this energy of Mercury and the new moon very strongly in your life. If you're sensitive to what your life is bringing, you don't even have to look at your chart to understand what is changing and where in your life. And you want to bring in some new intentions because these new moon energies are really great for establishing a new sense of what this cycle should represent for you. This goes for the 4 weeks ahead, but it also goes for the 6 months ahead until the Virgo full moon, which will be in March of 2024. And so when you're looking at that cycle, start to have a sense of what we've experienced since the 23rd of August, what has been working, what has given you energy, what has given you a sense of, yeah, this needs to be redone or changed or reorganized or reviewed. Whatever was calling you from the last 3 weeks is where you want to put attention in terms of your new intentions. In a general sense, we're looking at things that are about your day-to-day life, overcoming obstacles. So Virgo is naturally the 6th house, and that's the house of obstacles and challenges and things that might hold you back or things that might cause you to work harder. It is the house of hard work, day-to-day work, the simple basic stuff that we all have to do every day. And that includes health hygiene and diet and all of these things, not diet as in losing weight, but the way that you eat, the lifestyle that you choose. And the 6th house is also always related to health. Physical and mental health are the axis between the 6th and the 12th house, so the Virgo Pisces axis. And so you can also look at what is in my life right now calling me to simplify or to render things more practical so that I can be in harmony with my life. So this Virgo energy thrives really on simplification, shedding things that are not helpful, shedding all kinds of unnecessary attention grabbers or just mess, basically. Clean up your mess. And the more that you do that, the more you start to feel that your energy is flowing. I can honestly say I got rid of all of my furniture, bar one thing, and I have such a load of energy in terms of what is possible for me. It has completely reboosted my frame of reference, and all the stress, which is another Virgo tendency, all of the stress and anxiety that I've had over the last 3 weeks has been due to stuff. Like, what do I do with all this stuff? Who's going to get this stuff? Who should I give it to? Can I sell it? Can I make some money from it? And this constant negotiating and trying to figure out the material stuff of life is really draining. It's really hard. And so you might also want to try and eliminate some of that stuff. If we think in terms of the polarities between Virgo and Pisces, Virgo is very practical, very down to earth, very day to day. It's very clear. And Pisces is much more open to the higher meaning of things, the higher truth, let's say, of life. And Pisces doesn't care about this stuff. And my stellium in Pisces has a hard time managing stuff and details. Just ask my accountant, who I had to see yesterday. I'm not good with that stuff because it just doesn't matter to me. But I can honestly say that having forced myself into Virgo mode and put myself into that place of really organizing myself, shedding all the clutter and the chaos and the extra stuff that I hadn't been really focusing on for such a long time, has brought a lot of energy and mental clarity, which is another Virgo signature of that mental clarity. And so I invite you to try the same and see where it is in terms of this particular moment of your life. Where can you simplify? Where can you shed things to invite more energy, more simplicity, less stress into your life? It's a really enriching practice, and I love the sense that while I'm sitting on all these things that I haven't really needed but have kind of been holding on to, not really sure what to do with them, now that I can shift it and give it or sell it away to somebody else, it allows somebody else to really enjoy it and make use of it. And that I mentioned in the previous video is it's like a living, breathing extension of yourself as you connect to the needs of somebody else and share. Virgo, of course, is all about looking after another. It's all about caring. It's all about serving and being thoughtful and considerate of other people. And that also contributes to this. You know, when you're sharing, when you're handing things out, when you're contributing to somebody else's betterment, it feels really good. It feels really, really lovely. What we also have at this time is a really, really tight, like within 59 arc minutes of a degree, trine, which is very supportive, coming from Uranus in Taurus. And so this new moon in Virgo is trined by Uranus. And you could say it's a broader trine, but you could also say that it's trining Jupiter. But I'm going to focus on this Uranus because that also is adding a spark of something very new and vibrant. Trines are helpful. They're supportive. It's energy that often expands in a positive direction. Now, it is Uranus, and so we don't know what the result will be, but usually with a trine, it's something that we're looking forward to. The energy of Uranus is so slow that we're aware that something is changing. So it's not like a surprise to any of you that there's something fundamentally changing in the Taurus house of your chart. And that's been ongoing for a very, very long time, since May of 2018. But now, in let's say the last couple of months, where Uranus has been roughly at this degree, 22, 23 degrees of Taurus, where it still really is, we've seen what needs to change, and we've been sensing how we want that to change, but it's not yet been possible. Now, with this trine to the new moon is adding a kind of an impetus. The moon is always or let's say the faster moving planets like the moon and Mercury, Mars, Venus, they add a spark of impetus to what's going on. And so this is the impetus. Now, Uranus is providing the change. The desire for change is in the trine, and the new moon is saying, let's go. It's time for something new. I like to refer to the traditional way of looking at a new moon, which is that you establish an idea for what is new, you move towards that, but don't really take final action, or don't, let's say, expect that things will pan out exactly as you want them until you start to see the little sliver of a new moon in the sky. And that usually is within 2 or 3 days, depending on whether the moon is rising in the day or the night for where you live. And then you'll start to see now is the time for this energy to really move forward. And so the next couple of days could be a great time to digest, to assimilate, to really let your mind settle, because also the new moon in trine to Uranus is busy. It's a busy mind, let's face it. It's been a busy time for all of us. Venus is also squaring Jupiter. Venus is ruling that Uranus. And Venus is now moving direct. So there's a lot of things that we're expanding into, that we're excited about, and we know we're going in a new direction, but it's not yet clear what that direction is. And so take some time with this, sit with it, let things kind of settle, let the dust settle, because the Virgo energy will tidy up after. And then if you think in terms of also looking for clarity, we have a relatively weak opposition. It's about a 4-degree opposition, 4.5 degrees from Neptune to the new moon, which is still a strong opposition as oppositions go. And that also suggests that we're not really sure yet, but it looks good. It's an optimistic energy that is working in such a way that we're living out our dream. We're planning forward into our vision for things. Now, obviously, you want to be careful as Mercury is stationing and as the moon is opposing Neptune, that you are thinking clearly, be careful what you sign. Not a great day for signing something like a contract or doing something that requires a specific long-term commitment. Great day for shifting energy, not a great day for stabilizing things. So you want Mercury to be direct, ideally, and allow the phase of the new moon to move on. And very, very soon after, just a matter of hours after, the moon will perfect the opposition to Neptune. And eventually the moon is going just hours later into Libra. We also have a trine. Again, it's a broad trine, so about 6 degrees of trine to Pluto. And Pluto, of course, is still squaring the nodes. And so this energy, again, is an impulse for massive change. Pluto is in an earth sign, just like the new moon. And that is a change that is long lasting. Now, Pluto is retrograde. Uranus is retrograde, and Saturn and Neptune are all retrograde as well. Mercury will soon be stationing direct. Chiron is also retrograde. So there's a lot of energy that feels a little bit more introspective, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with retrogrades. They're very strong, very useful energies to follow, where you dig deep, where you introspect. What is the thing that I'm looking for, at the very least, in this cycle? Now you can look at that from the 2-week cycle that builds to the full moon, or the lunar cycle of 28 days that's coming, or the 6 months that's coming, or in a longer term vision for your life, especially if you are born around this time, let's say from the 13th of September until about the 18th of September. This will be very powerful for you. Or if you have these degrees, let's say between 19 to 24, 25 degrees of Virgo, or the opposite in Pisces as well, or in any of the mutable signs, 19 to 24, 25 degrees. So this will be quite a transformation for you. Again, I don't have time to go sign by sign. I promise I will do more in-depth stuff as soon as possible. That'll be next week. There's a lot to talk about coming up. We have the eclipses, the first eclipse being on the 14th of October, 1 month away. So before I set up that eclipse video, which will come in a few days, you can already notice what is changing. And this new moon, I think, is like a clarion call. It's like the instigation of this new cycle that allows you then to feel, as the eclipses shift into the Aries and Libra axis, where the moon is going soon after this full moon. You can start to follow the energy, follow the messages, follow what's going, and allow yourself to set yourself up for success with the eclipses. Again, always random and unexpected, but usually in some form or another, they're in a space of expectation in terms of the area of life that we know change is coming. So take notes, and then you can refer back then over these few weeks what has changed for you already. Then the actual day of the eclipse on the 14th of October will perhaps make no difference, but the building of the energy up until that point will. So I'm going to leave it at that. I really look forward to talking to you again in a few days and to sharing some ideas about the eclipses and also upcoming shifts in energy as Venus also shifts into Virgo as of the beginning of October. So best wishes for all of you. Have a wonderful new moon cycle. And I'll speak to you soon and hear from you in the comments, which I always read and I really appreciate. Thanks very much. Bye.